Think about this. There is one thing that Tucker Carlson, Bernie Bros, and Wall Street CEOs have in common. This election. Across the election, one thing. Andrew Yang. As Liz Plank puts it in her new piece for NBC News Think, this, at least in part, because Yang's message is resonating in particular with men who feel forgotten, not just by the Democratic Party, but by society at large. And despite not making tonight's debate stage, his message seems to be resonating with voters in Iowa. This photo from last night captures Yang's biggest Iowa crowd to date at a town hall that took place in Des Moines. Joining me now to discuss the author of that think piece and the book For the Love of Men, Liz Plank, and Robert Costa, also back with me. Liz, you say that Yang is resonating with guys out there who feel forgotten. Why?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the reasons why I wrote this piece. I started seeing a lot of different men with a lot of different ideologies, all having this Yang, shaped hole in their heart. And one thing that I think he's really tapping into, and one thing that I talk about in the book, is that we're really in the midst of a man crisis in America. There's a definitional void for a lot of men. A lot of men want to define themselves with positive things. They want to be providers. But in a lot of ways, our economy, in a lot of ways, our political system makes it harder for them to be able to define themselves in those ways. And so Andrew Yang, is really able to tap into something that we don't often talk about, which is male pain. He doesn't just talk about it, but he connects male pain to some of the biggest problems in our society. He connects it to rising levels of suicide. He connects it to the rise of online hate groups. He connects it to domestic violence. And so, we see Trump actually weaponizing male pain. He's talked a lot about male pain and profit off of that. But Andrew Yang, instead of offering men a common enemy, as your previous guest was talking about, whether it comes to immigrants or whether it's women, Andrew Yang is really offering men a solution. And so that is something that I think, whether Andrew Yang makes it or not to the White House, something that the Democrats should really take, not just literally, but seriously.
Robert, the last person to speak to this subset, this base, was President Trump. He was able to rally them in 2016. Could Andrew Yang, of all people, be the guy to rally these voters or pull them from President Trump, making him a viable candidate to take him on?
Andrew Yang's message on the economy is universal basic income. And he's not speaking directly in a political sense just to men, but he is speaking to those who are in industries or sectors that are predominantly featuring men, such as truck drivers, for example. He talks often on the campaign trail about how truck drivers feel like they're being automated out of their jobs, and that industry often is populated by males who are driving trucks across the country. And he's speaking to their grievances about feeling left out in an economy that's moving more toward automation. And to Liz's point, many of these sectors, industrial sectors that do feel the force of automation, often do feature men who are unhappy about how they have been treated. But it's not a universally male issue here. Women in many sectors are also feeling like their jobs are being lost to automation. And when you talk to Andrew Yang, as I have, he speaks to them as well.
Then, Robert, if he speaks to those people who are saying, I'm fed up, I want something different, if the Democratic nominee is a more traditional candidate like a Joe Biden, does Andrew Yang make a viable VP option, since he's marketing to voters who could say, I don't want the same thing?
Andrew Yang, politically, you could say he's associated with Senator Bernie Sanders, even Senator Elizabeth Warren, and others who are speaking to a larger federal role in the workforce, whether it comes to health care or providing people with universal basic income. There's a movement within the Democratic Party to have the federal government there to help people out.
Liz, whether or not Andrew Yang stays in the race, what could the Democratic Party learn from him?
I think Andrew Yang understands what a lot of progressives understand, which is that the progressive movement and the Democratic Party shouldn't be a speakeasy. It should be a block party. It should be someplace that, everyone is welcome. You don't need to know all the terms, know exactly, have the right dress code, that it's really a party that's open to everybody. And specifically that it's a party that's open to men. We don't just tolerate men. We celebrate them. We don't just understand the pain pain of, women and people of color. We understand the pain of everyone, and we don't rank that pain, right? That we see that pain is actually linked. And so I think that there's a real need for the progressive movement to understand a much more nuanced view of I think, feminism and gender equality, which is not just the future is female, which is obviously important, but the future is everyone. And that if we only talk about women when we talk about gender equality, we're really missing half the picture.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.